Against Brighton. A very good evening, my dear friends. My name is Kel Spellman. Welcome along to Matchday Live, and here in the studio, what an absolute treat, because I've got a duo sat next to me in the form of Mr. Nedum and of course Mr. Michael Brown. Very good evening, gents. How are we?
Very good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well. Shall we get straight into it? Shall we begin?
Absolutely.
Let's get in. Okay, first place where you can get team news is here on Matchday Live. And here it is. Our starting 11 for our game against Brighton kicks off at 8 p.m. Looks like this. Ederson in goal. A back four consisting of Cancelo, Stones, Laporte and Ake. Rodri is there holding, with Gundogan, who captains the side, and Kevin De Bruyne. And a forward three of Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden and Riyad Mahrez. Who's going to be in the false nine? Well, I'll be asking my guests in just a second. On the bench, Zach Stefan, Ruben Diaz, Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, Jack Grealish, Oli Zinchenko, Fernandinho, Cole Palmer and Romeo Lavia. Michael Brown, I'll begin with you. Thoughts on that starting 11?
Do you know what makes me laugh straight away? You go, who's going to be in that front three? Who's going to play the false nine? I mean, how dare we question Pep Guardiola? I mean, it's so difficult, isn't it, to realise what he's going to play. Yes, it looks like that's going to be the case. Just speak to Nedum, actually thinking who will play there with the setup that they have. Brighton, will they go a little bit wider in the areas? Will Phil Foden go out one side, Riyad Mahrez allow Bernardo Silva to be that false nine or that 10 to go wherever he wants? And their options are there, aren't they? And
yeah.
Notably Ake as well. Will he be the left fullback?
Yeah. Well, what was your thoughts on that? Do you think Ake will be on that left side of the defence?
I think he will. I think he will. But I think the beauty of, say, some of those players back there is the fact they're so adaptable.
Yeah.
You know, they could rotate that and it could still be just as strong. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I think it's going to be interesting. You say we talk about false nines and stuff, and I was leaning towards Phil playing it, but then he gets a lot of tappings for someone that's playing a false nine. You know, like kind of gets tappings like a nine, seems to find himself in areas like a nine. So maybe he's the new nine. Maybe he's the nine we wanted, Phil Foden. Who knows?
I wanted to ask about the false nine, because obviously as we've seen, that's been a system we've had to adopt this year, and we've seen different players playing that central role. Do you think now there's different qualities that each player brings to the middle, like you were saying there, actually what Bernardo brings to the false nine role rather than what Phil Foden would or Jack Grealish, Michael?
Well, I think the amount of time and effort that the full backroom staff look into the detail of the opposition that they come up against. We've seen against Liverpool, Phil Foden go out wide on the left, Raheem Sterling, and on the right-hand side, but then be more direct. So you're looking against the front three, do you actually say, well, how do we draw them out? How do we take everybody back to create the space? So it's always key as well. I feel like the midfield eights, how they get in as well in the advanced areas. So they're moving around all the time. But I do really like it when City have those options really wide and high. I think they're really kind of effective. The switch to play is great for the midfield player.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think we talk about false nines and people having different characteristics in certain areas. But I think it's either 5 or 6 players have scored more than 10 goals for the club this season. So whatever happens, whoever's up there in the forward line, they are having an impact. You know, they understand their roles, as he was just alluding to there. And I'm with you. You know, I like to see people high and wide, but I also like to see the threat in behind.
Yes.
And I think when you have that, the opposition, they can't just be front and keep everything there, saying everything's nice and easy. Because there's nothing worse as a defender than when you're running back towards your own goal. Because it's the only time you don't. I
feel like it's a nice option, though, isn't it? Yeah. Do you know that when City do actually go in behind? And it's not often the case. You know, a lot of games you'll say, well, no, it's all about not getting counter-attacked, strangle the whole game and control the possession, the build-up maybe more controlled. Personally, yes, it does leave you a little bit open at times, but it's a touch more exciting.
For me, it's just having the threat there, because it will keep the people at the back honest. I think there's some games where literally you can have your banks of 4 and so on and say the ball's here, we're not going to let it get behind us.
Yes.
But like I say, when you're running back, you don't know whether everyone's with you.
As a defender,
it's awful.
You would rather see it all in front when you
every single
get the midfielder, get your fullback next to
I used to love games against strikers who would not run in behind, because I'm like, I'm an incredible player, man. You know what I mean? The impact I'm having on this game here. But then it only takes a few balls over the top when you're sort of trying to figure out where's the ball, where's the man, and all this.
I think that was one of the most interesting things, though, in the Liverpool game here at the Etihad. You know, the last weekend it was, not just on the weekend before, of course, that big fixture. But that's probably one of the most times I've seen us trying to play that ball in behind
because of the high line. The high line, they knew where it was. They tried it a little bit. Phil Foden at Anfield, there's some success. Yes, Trent Alexander-Arnold didn't play that game.
Yeah.
But you could see it was different. I think it's wonderful to have the mix.
Yeah.
And And Pep has his philosophy where he actually wants to have that perfect goal, that perfect football, but he's still prepared to actually later on in games hold it in the corner, see out the games, or in times quicker balls in behind, turning round. So it's a great blend, isn't it?
You know, we would sit here as well, and we were always trying to work out who is going to be the forward six and who plays where. Nedum, what would Graham Potter and how do these managers, when approaching City, do you try and second guess the City team, or do you have to kind of go off the system?
I think for most managers, they'll probably go off the system.
Okay.
And people have seen City play before. They've seen those faces. They've seen Mahrez thrive off the right. You know what I mean? You might have seen Sterling thrive off the left and things like that. So there are tendencies. But then I suppose at the end of the day, you can prepare for as much as you can, and you can have like the second team, you know, try and do what City do and so on. But City do it better than anybody else.
Yeah.
So whenever you come up and play against them, I think you can soon start to pick up patterns. And I guess as a coach, you're hoping that the players understand what's going on around them.
It is a bit of a running joke, Joe, when you actually speak to the managers, coaches, when you see, obviously, going to away games this season, notably as well, and actually saying, oh, what type of team, what's going to come up against? They don't know the answer.
Yeah.
Because Ederson can go long.
Yeah.
He can play it down. He can play it out to the wide areas quickly. We can see the fullback going as the centre midfield player to make the extra the extra pass to come out that way to the other centre half. We've seen them going in behind. We've seen the short pass, long pass. It's so difficult. We've seen the wider players coming inside, and this is the point. I think the coach that well that there's 5 or 6 different options throughout the game that they can just change.
Yeah. It's phenomenal.
So that's the difference.
And I think the key thing, if I was to be playing against them, is to not do something that plays into their hands. Like, be able to sort of smell when there's a trap or something.
Yes.
You know, like sometimes when they're rolling the ball across the back, it's Ederson, you know, it's Stones, it's Laporte and all this stuff. You're thinking, oh, we've got them. But it's sort of can create space for somebody else. And then before you know it, your team's completely open. And they've got you right where you want them. Like, that's why they stay patient.
Yes.
You know, when we see them moving the ball around at the back, it's not just for the sake of it. They're just waiting for the right moment, because then as soon as the team tries to bite, before you know it, the quality kicks in, the tempo changes. Yeah. And you've got Kevin De Bruyne running straight at your back line, and you've got defenders screaming help.
I think that's out of possession as well.
Yeah.
Do you know, you look at City, Pep Guardiola, yes, it's how you play and how you control the other teams, moving around, wait for a mistake, wait for someone to switch off or they're running behind. But I think the success comes from actually the press. Yeah. You talk about the traps, they let one particular player do it. They'll do it today, especially with Brighton. Yeah. They'll know there'll be one side, they'll allow him to have the ball, they'll wait, and they'll say we'll play short, and they'll say we'll let that one go, we'll get the next one. So they'll suck in and they'll wait, and I think that's City don't get nowhere near the credit they deserve on pressing and the ability to sniff out those chances.
Sorry, we're yapping here. Is this all right?
No, I love it. Get back to my popcorn.
Because it makes a great point, because you don't necessarily need to have the ball to be in control of it, because there are some teams that will literally shuttle you wherever they want you to go. Yeah. Like, I'll be honest as well, I'll hold my hands up at this point. I've been on that island whereby you're the only person that's free on the pitch and the goalie's got the ball. And you're like, hold on 1 second.
You have to look
whoa, somebody come in.
Let Nedum have it.
Whoa. Then you get it. It's like, still no pressure. Like, hold on a second. And before you know it, you just move the ball to one side, and then it's like a swarm.
Do you know what's funny though? Actually, I don't think it's as ruthless anymore. I think it's a little bit nicer where actually you're on the pitch before, and that shout would come out. Let him have it. That's straight away. Your next touch is like that.
But then, like,
I can't mess it up. You're almost like putting it into the next.
But that's the dilemma. That's the dilemma as you as a player. You know what's going on, but you're like, I'll show them. I'll take this ball. You know what I mean? Trying to knock on me. I'll take this. Before you know it, you're just going down an avenue which they've led you down. Swarm. And it's like, well, I'm probably not going to do that again.
I'm thinking, which one is it today for Brighton? Let's find out.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We got the. I love the other one that I don't like is he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it, and it's like, I do want it. Do I?
Please,
no,
I do.
Is that what you've been getting?
Do you think that's interesting? Do you think? I mean, it was interesting because we were fortunate enough to watch the games, weren't we? Behind closed doors, of course, is where Matchday Live kind of birthed, I guess. And really, those little kind of comments, they didn't seem that much to happen on the pitch. Really, do you think it's?
I think it'd be difficult as well in lockdown when it's so quiet. Do you know, you've got to be so careful with what you say and how it's done, but I still think there'll be a few chirps. There is still a few there.
There are a few chirps,
and some that you'd notably do on purpose so everybody can hear it to put an impression. But it's
I bet, Brownie, you had a few good ones up your sleeve, didn't you?
They used to say, let me have it, so it's fine. So it's,
with say in lockdown when it's been behind closed doors, like sometimes they might not say it, but it's what they do. You know what I mean? Literally, you're looking around the field and everybody's marked up. Then there's just one guy that's got 10 yards of space. Like, oh, I wonder what this means. But as I say, it's all part of the plan. It's well orchestrated and it's understanding. It's not that somebody's just been left free because there's a mistake. It's like, what are the options from there? And some of it might be a case of the goalkeeper's rolling it to a right-footed centre-back who's playing left-side centre-back. And they're going to try and shuffle him onto his left side because they know the quality's not going to be there on the left, or it's less likely to be there.
So it's fine details.
There's so many fine details.
Yeah, the in-game intelligence is phenomenal. Speaking of in-game intelligence, Kevin De Bruyne. There was a slight worry, of course, when we finished that Atletico fixture. We know, of course, he was taken off. Thankfully, it turns out it was just a cut, and it was the stitch, unfortunately, which meant he couldn't play at the weekend. But there's an amazing stat that he scored he's open scoring in our last 3 Premier League games, and each goal has come in the 5th minute. All 3 of them. I don't know if that kind of obviously is just one of those fun stats, but also it goes to show how quickly we've started the last few games, really. Obviously, we had it against United, which you can see here.
Lovely.
You'll also remember, I think we'll come to it as well. We've got the Burnley one after that, and then it was Liverpool. I mean, stats are stats, Michael, but one, it's great to know that he's firing, but also that how quickly we are starting games.
I think he's so important, you know, when you look at, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, the game at the weekend, when he's not on the pitch, I do feel like the dynamics change. I'm a real huge fan. I know it's a bit embarrassing how many times I keep saying how much that we were having this conversation earlier about it's getting a bit strange. I just think he's the all-round player. What he brings on the pitch, that leadership, that ability, left foot, right foot, whether he's creating chances. But I think he's getting back to his best. It's a shame that he's got another little injury. And when you've got a cut in your foot like he has, he will be a little bit conscious. He'll be realising there's some games to come up, and obviously they didn't want to risk him at the weekend, and it's there playing with those injuries. You do feel it.
I think the thing with him, like, if his right foot's hurt, he'll just use his left. His left foot's an absolute wonder.
Stick it on the right, you know what I mean?
Fine.
If neither of them are working, just use his head.
Yeah, exactly. It's genius, isn't it?
It's great, though, isn't it, that he's getting in the box, he's getting in his advanced areas straight away. I mean, he's incredible to watch. And,
for me, that's one of the things, like, outside of this City bubble, there's lots of criticism about the fact they don't play with a striker and this, that and the other. Yet still you seem to see so many of their players in key areas where you'd want the strikers to be. You could argue the finishing isn't as pristine as like a top striker would be. But the fact is they're still scoring goals and they're still the second top scorers in the Premier League. So clearly something's not broken there.
Yeah, indeed. Final word on the City 11. As we can see, the boys are just starting to make their way onto the pitch to start their pre-warm-up preparations. Looking at the John Stones-Aymeric Laporte partnership, obviously we know Stones been a little bit unfortunate with injuries, and then obviously kind of Diaz has got his knock, which has then given Stones the chance to come in. And Nedum, we were just saying before as well, but I mean, it's a given how colossal Laporte has been, but John Stones has really come in, particularly in the last 2 weeks. He's been formidable again, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been incredible, but in some ways it's no surprise. You saw how good he was last year. He's doing the same again this year, and it's crazy to think that at the start of the season he wasn't playing. You know, he played more minutes for England in the first 2 months of the season than did for City, but I suppose it's a timing thing, and they probably knew something that we didn't. But lo and behold, as it's crunch time of the season...
It's the easiest position on the pitch, though, isn't it?
As it's crunch time of the season, you know what I mean? Like, he's stepped out there, and he's making a huge...
Question then, though. Now we know that Diaz is fit, and if you have a chance, go and have a read of what Pep was saying about what he's done to get back fit. It just shows the mentality of that guy. He's a beast. But given the form of Stones and Laporte, does Diaz walk straight back into that centre-half partnership?
I think he's got every right to want his place. He wants to get as many minutes straight away. But I think Pep Guardiola said, was it 7 weeks or something, that he'd been out. So at that point, you've got to make sure you don't break him till the end of the season. They'll want to play him if they feel like it was right. I bet he was so close for this one tonight. For me, I reckon it was very, very close, and the decision probably leave it a touch longer. Will he come on and get some minutes if the game goes okay? That might be an advantage, really, if they can get him at some point in the game, but it depends on how it goes. But it'd be great to see him back and pushing. And straight away now, it's John Stones thinking,
I've got to play well now.
We've got to play really, really well. Nathan Ake coming on and doing much better as well. They're also looking along the line. So that's what you want.
Well, it's so funny because, like, when Diaz went down, there was like, oh, this is going to be a big problem for City. And in some ways, you know, missing somebody of that sort of stature is huge. But then instead they've had to play with an England centre-back and a Spanish centre, and an English international and a Spanish international, backed up by a Dutch international.
Yeah,
so it's not the worst position in the world to be in, is it?
I think if we're honest, you know, those three are the main starters, aren't they?
Sure.
John Stones had to wait and be patient when we were watching, but I think they've all got them different attributes.
Yeah.
The left side are obviously the diagonal passes open up. Emirates Laporte's a bit different. The aggression leadership of Diaz, and I think for me, John Stones, he can step in, he can read the game, he can start the play off. He's comfortable in possession.
Yeah.
So it's a really good blend, isn't it? I think of a mixture.
Yeah.
And at that point, Pep Guardiola can actually say, right, I feel like this is the right game for these today. I think we're looking at Brighton. I'd rather leave Ruben Diaz a little bit longer. I don't want John Stones to step in. I think there'll be more room to go on and play. So it doesn't always say what we've got to get him today, but to look at what the personnel is.
It's very, very true. And I think as Jolien actually said as well, he says for him that's the best trio of centre-backs, one in the Premier League, but if not, possibly Europe.
And did he say which are the best pair? I'm sure you'll...
Well, yeah, no, that's...
To be fair, I am like... Team 3 at the back, so you know what I mean. So those 3 in there. That's a wall, my friend. That's a wall, my friend.
Good answer. That's better than you.
You see that, mate?
Not just all of everything, you know what I mean?
Think of it.
Listen, if you've got some questions at home that you want to get in, maybe about the team, maybe over the last couple of weeks, we'll be talking about that in just a bit, or maybe it is for Nedum or Michael. There's a little number down there. Just use that WhatsApp number. You can even use a voice note if you want, or a question. Get it in. I'll be putting them to our guests throughout the show, and we'll, of course, love hearing from you. And if you want to even get a little shout-out, that's the way you can do just that. Now, before we hear from Alistair Mann and Sean Goater, we've got Commentary Day, which you can get on the Manchester City app. Well worth downloading, because you can enjoy the game through those two fine gents. Let's begin our game of the day, which is What Stat? Who's Stat? Sorry, as I said, WhatsApp. Who's Stat? We want to know, can you work out who this City player is, past or present, through 3 clues. First clue is this. This player was the first to score 50 goals in 3 of the top 5 European leagues. Score 50 goals and I don't even... Let's have a little... Anyone? It's tough, man.
What
are
the top 5 leagues?
Okay, well, I'm going Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, the Dutch... I can never say that. Dutch Eredivisie, is it? And and what would be the 5th? Portuguese? Would you say? Or Bundesliga?
I know who
Bundesliga.
it is. I know who it is.
You know who it is?
I know who it is.
Oh, maybe that's helped you at home. Get your guesses in, either on WhatsApp or use the hashtag Man City. Just put your answer, hashtag that, then we see all the answers that come through. A few more clues coming your way in just a little bit throughout the show. So if you've not got it yet, do not worry. So as I just said, if you go onto the Manchester City app, you can get full commentary from Alistair Mann, of course, who is one of the best commentators of the game. And today he's joined by none other than Sean Goater, and we can hear their pre-match thoughts now.
Well, welcome to Pitchside. We've just had a couple of moments to digest the team for today's game. My co-commentator today is none other than Sean Goater. Sean, you've had a couple of minutes to digest what you make of the starting 11, 6 changes.
Yes, I expected that. I expected a freshening up of the team in terms of, I mean, the last couple of games what we've had is really taking a lot out of the players. So for me, much should be expected. I'm looking forward to tonight, because I think tonight is about energy, about starting well and being on the front foot.
What do we learn about City on Saturday, do you think?
Well, I think it's all about the start, and for many games we've started well, but I think that's what we found. That's the lesson learned. Really, is we need to start well, and I think we're gonna have a hell of a game tonight in terms of our tempo, our pressing, out of possession, in possession, how we move the ball. I think it's going to be really key.
Obviously, for the first time since December the 4th, the players will have woken up this morning to see a league table where they're not top of it. What's the psychology now, do you think?
Well, yeah, very interesting. I think the players will just know themselves to be top of the table. They know that if they take care of the games they've got to, which is win their games, that they'll always remain on top. So, yes, at this moment in time, we're in second, but we win tonight, we're back on top. And I think that is what's going to spur the boys on, and that is what's going to have us start really well as well.
How significant is it that City have been in this position, even against Liverpool, of course, when they've gone neck and neck? How significant is it that they got over the line both times?
Yeah, well, City's been there. These players have been there. So they walk around that dressing room. It's not an unknown situation. They look around and they don't look around and doubt, oh, well, will he be able to pull it off tonight? Will he be there to back me up? They'll look around and think, yeah, he's got my back. He's got my back. He's quality. Actually, I just got to make sure I deliver what I need to deliver, and we'll be great.
Do you think we're going to watch City's, what you believe to be best 11? Is this the starting 11 when everybody's fit?
Well, I think Pep also selects players based on the opposition and where he can find, where he finds weaknesses to exploit. So, you know, is it our best 11? I say it is because Pep shows it. So if we don't go against Pep, we trust. So yeah, again, the guys know what job's at hand, and they'll go and do it.
What's your gut feeling about this particular game this evening? He's always complimentary about Brighton. What problems do you see them posing?
Well, I think they'll have a low block, if not a low block, a mid block. I don't think it's going to be an open game. I think they'll try to catch us on the counter attack and look to utilise Welbeck with a bit of pace, and whether he plays up top or whether they use him out wide. I probably tend to think he'll be up top. But again, I think it's how we really smother them when they have the ball, and the minute we lose it, it's regaining it right back. I think it will be key tonight.
Well, having watched you many times on Matchday Live before I come in on the commentary, you're always pressed on a prediction, so we might as well end with one. What's your feeling about tonight?
I feel really good tonight. I'm thinking 3-0 and maybe even more, but I'm going to go 3-0.
Oh, you're normally pretty good on those. Let's see if Sean's right. I hope he is.
Alistair Mann, couldn't agree more. I hope he is as well. And don't forget, guys, if you want to listen to them two commentating on our game against Brighton today, just download the Manchester City app and you can get it on there. Plus, you get a whole load of other features as well. So, well worth doing just to pass some time, maybe, you know, when you're thinking, I've got a spare 5 minutes, have a read of some articles. There you go, jobs are good. And thank you very much, Alistair Mann and Sean Goto. Right, Brighton is today's opposition, of course, coming into this in a good run of form, having won their last 2 games against Arsenal and Tottenham. So, probably not going to be as easy as we thought it may have been a month or so ago. Their starting 11 looks like this. Sanchez is in goal. Then we've got Lamptey, Cucurella, Dunk, McAllister, Mwepu, Gross, Welbeck, March, Caicedo and Veltman. On their bench, they've got Steele, McGill, Webster, Morpay, Lallana, Leonard, Afaya, Ferguson and Sarmiento. Of course, they were in a bit of a kind of rutting form recently, Nedum, but then 2 big wins there, as I say, against Tottenham and Arsenal. What type of threat are they going to pose to us today here at the Etihad?
I didn't see enough detail about the Arsenal win, but when I saw the Spurs one, they ended up having more possession, more shots, more everything. So they very much deserved to win that game, and I think that surprised a lot of people because Spurs were one of the hot sides in the league at the time. So I think it goes to show that, you know, the players are confident. They don't fear the big sides, and they'll try and play their game. You know, they're not just going to sit back and just absorb whatever they can. They're going to try and go toe-to-toe with whoever they play against. So I think for people that are going to be watching the game today, don't be surprised if you see them have spells with the ball. You know, even though City are the better side, these guys are good enough to be able to sort of like stand their ground on a field like this in this environment.
Yes.
So, as I say, I think City still are overwhelming favourites, and I think they will win the game. But it's probably not going to be the way that we envision it will be, especially given the fact that they've got the confidence of those 2 big away wins.
Yeah, and where are there going to be these key battlegrounds on the pitch then for you today, do you think, Michael?
I think you're looking in the midfield area. Basuma, I think he's a big loss for them.
Yep.
Mwepu, whether he plays in an advanced position, whether he comes into the midfield area to create a 3. Solly Marsh, he's got real energy. He's coming into the team. Yes, Welbeck, we already talked about. Veltman down the right-hand side, I think he shows great presence, getting better and better. So I think you just look at them overall away from home, they've done really, really well. I think they're on course for the best goals against away from home in the Premier League.
Yes.
So I think that just tells you straight away. And you'd say a team like Brighton, I know it's a little bit disrespectful, but I would still say they're at the level of where you're thinking, are they going to just be above the relegation? They've done much better than you would have thought, and how they've gone on and done it. And that tells you in their stats, away from home generally is the key. And for a team who generally you sort of say, well, a Burnley type setup where they're hard to beat, really strong, stay behind the ball, make it difficult. This is a team who are actually stepping in, they're playing football and they can still get caught. To concede what they've done, I think that tells you they're going really, really well.
The only criticism that's been levelled at him, I think, essentially throughout this season and parts last season, was the fact they've not scored enough goals. You know, I wouldn't say they've necessarily addressed that, but they've managed to score enough goals to put themselves in a good position. And I think when things start going wrong for them and unravelling, then I think that is a frustration. Performance tends not to dip too much, but the outcomes can change if it feels like, as I say, you're not really getting the goals that you need. Like that, we're looking at Mopé on the bench, and he's their main guy. I think he might be their top scorer. Yeah, you know what I mean? He's their top guy with 7, but if he's not scoring, he's not doing his bit, then the next
they can change their formation as well. You're looking at saying how they're going to play. Will they do something different? He's not afraid to do that.
Yeah.
And again, most sides would come to the Etihad and actually be brave playing 2 up top.
Yeah.
He might actually go 3-4-3. We don't know, the wider areas. Where does he play well back? He's got different options, and they can change within it. So. A real interesting one.
Yeah, and obviously it's very two kind of different places as far where the clubs are at, but it's such a big one is scoring goals, and kind of does it also just highlight, actually, it is, I know, granted, we've got the squad, and obviously we've also kind of got the infrastructure around Manchester City, but also highlights how difficult it is to do what also maybe City have done without a recognised number 9 name, because it's not just Brighton as well. You look at all them teams in the bottom half, and even some towards the top, when the strikers aren't playing, when the goals don't tend to come.
Yeah, it's the way City are doing it is incredibly unique, and I think teams that try and do it, they probably don't have the DNA to be able to control the ball, control possession the way that City do.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's key. I think their approach from front to back at times is immaculate, and so they can play that sort of system. If they didn't have that, then it wouldn't work, because you'd need more out balls and stuff like this. But for them, it's about passing and probing and finding the right moments and making the right decisions all the way through.
Are you surprised how Brighton have done, actually, with the personnel? Do you know, when you look at it and you say, well, you look at the players, who would take those? So is that full credit, to the coaching staff? Lamptey's one, isn't he?
What a player.
I think I know where you're coming from, and I think you could probably say that about a lot of teams in the league, because there are certain individuals within a side who get a lot of praise and a lot of credit, but it's all about the sum of the parts. And I think for teams like this, the way that they're coached, like, you can see they fully buy into what the manager wants. I'm sure we're going to talk about the manager
can he
shortly,
be that? I don't know.
Well, think of it this way. There was a point in Premier League history where we were watching Blackpool play really well for the first 3-4 months of the season with a style that nobody saw coming, and a manager who I had at QPR who's completely bonkers in Ian Holloway. And you looked at the players, like, you play against them, and you look at the players, and you're like, well, we're obviously going to win this. And then before you know it, you're on the back foot.
Yeah.
Because they fully
so
understood
is it a
the
setup? But it's hard to do it in that style, isn't it?
Yeah.
You look, you say, well, it can be dynamic. You could play a Blackpool. You could go, right, 4-3-3.
Yeah.
We're going to get wide. We're going to get high. We're going to stick crosses in. We're going to have great energy.
Yeah.
But actually, to play a build-up...
to play a build-up game requires everybody to fully buy into it, because you know yourself, if one person doesn't buy into it, then the whole thing falls down.
Yeah.
So I think that standard set by the manager and the coaching staff dictate the way that team's going to play, because there are times where, a new manager comes in and there's a transition from, say, maybe going long to when to play, and there's some people who are more comfortable going long.
Yes.
But it's down to the manager saying, no, this is what we're going to do. You might make some mistakes. The manager says, no, this is what we're going to do. And then before you know it, that's the standard, that's the expectation. Everybody sees it in the same light. And I think that comes down to the management and the sort of way that they coach the players.
Just go on to then the coaches then, because I think, we look at Graham Potter, and I think I've always admired Graham Potter, any Graham Potter team. I love what he did with Swansea. I think he's done a brilliant job here with Brighton, even what you guys have been alluding to. We can have a look at Pep versus Potter, but as you say, you kind of do have to give a lot of the credit. Obviously, you've got the players to buy into it, but obviously against Pep it's going to be difficult. But Graham Potter as a manager, I do feel is kind of one of the best for me, I think, in just the way he speaks after the game, the way he speaks about his players, and the way he gets his team to play. Would you agree, Michael?
This is a great point here. When we look at Pep versus Potter regards to games, wins against each other, I think we look at the bottom all-time points. I think we've got to be very, very careful here. We're talking about a great young manager that we're enjoying the way he plays, the progression that he's having, but he's doing that with Brighton. Yes, it's a club who are overachieving possibly from their outcome of what they've done, but to go to the next level, for him to go and take another Premier League side to actually go on and enter into Champions League spots, and that's something you're only going to see when he gets that opportunity. It's great. I don't want to criticise too much, but I think it's ridiculous at this moment in time to compare him even in the same breath as Pep Guardiola.
Yeah. Do you think you've seen enough, though? I mean, as you say, we've seen him do it. He's done it with Swansea, he's doing it with Brighton. Would you be interested to see what he could do with one of the top 6 teams, say, Nate?
I would, yes, just because the way he approaches the game is that he'll set his side out and he's not afraid to make tactical changes and rotations at any point in the game and whenever it's needed and according to his vision.
Can he do that with bigger players, though?
Well, this is what I was going to say. I was going to agree because he can.
Those players,
he can. I think it's not necessarily with bigger players. I think can he do it at a stage where the expectation's higher? Because for them, how many places can they go around the country and be the favourite in the game to be the side where everybody expects them to win? And the answer I'd say is not many.
Can a Graham Potter bench an international, a top player and actually take that on? Can he manage them? And it's a totally different outcome of where you're at. And you have to go and be given that opportunity. He has to get another role from where he's at this moment in time.
Yeah.
He either has to progress with Brighton with more financial backing that he can take them on if that was the case, the wealthy owners, but to the level of where they can take them, we don't know. But if not, somebody else has got to come and say, right, we're the next level.
Yeah.
Let's have a go. So he's earned the right. I think you're right there with what you're saying, Cal. I think we're all on the page that he's going to get that opportunity.
Yeah. And he has the pedigree, I guess, but he just needs that experience and proof in the pudding.
Like there'll be so much more scrutiny when he does arrive at a bigger job. Because say, for example, the run when he's on with Brighton where they don't win in 7, or they start off well, then they sort of fall off a cliff. You're not allowed those spells when the expectation is so high.
Does he stay, though? Do you know? Because the type of job he's going to get. So say we're looking at Everton. Everton were there. We're spending a lot of money.
Earlier in the season, wasn't
then
there?
we're talking Spurs. So how long will Conte last? That was one you would say would have been a Daniel Levy appointment where he feels like he could still control the manager a little bit, not too much of it, but he actually then went for Conte. But we still know that's on a short-term contract. So would that be the one? Does he go and say, right, I'm going to go and change that, or do I sit here for 3 or 4 years and say, can I say
build and create,
or is it going to be second, third season? Well, we've overachieved and now we're back to struggling in relegation.
I think with him in this role, like he can talk about wanting to stay, but he has to perform to be able to stay. Because I think at some point, if there's a dip and it seems like they're heading in the wrong direction, I think they'll get rid of him.
So does he go? Does he look to go now? If you're looking after him,
I think he should be. I think he should be
as a
ambitious.
manager, did he have to say, this summer I've took Brighton as far as I can, I've got to go?
Yeah.
For me, I think if there's a job available, I think you have to apply for it. If there's a theoretical job that offers a different sort of challenge to what it is at Brighton, I think you have to look at it.
And it's great, isn't it? Because then he'll go and at least he can actually put his head on the pillow and go, well, I've tried that next step.
So
many people throughout football who've stayed and done a real good job, haven't they?
Because I definitely wouldn't recommend him saying, right, I'm just going to pack
We've just seen Sean Dyche, haven't we?
Yeah.
Do you know, at that point, Burnley have done a remarkable 7 years service, but then everybody's saying there's another job. Yes, it's a different style completely. But I guess, where does it go?
I guess there's the similarities as well. Now, unfortunately, maybe he should have had a little bit more time. But you look, Nuno, that was kind of obviously. I don't know. Maybe put Wolves and Brighton more or less in the same bracket. Nuno took that step. Do you know what I mean?
It's a respectable shout. It's not the worst shout he's ever given. That.
Thank you.
He's changed a lot this last.
By the way, can I say I don't know who's running the clips before, but there was like a 2-minute Phil Foden thing when he was warming up. It's Phil. It's absolute Phil. I was trying to listen to Michael, but I was like, oh my god.
No, it was. I was listening to Michael Nedum. Thank you.
What did he say? I don't remember.
Wow.
No, it's because it was so. The highlight was so good. I was like, oh my.
You know the City social media team will have that on Instagram in the next 2 hours. 100%.
So that's getting liked. 1000% getting liked.
I left a comment on a João Cancelo clip they put in, when he did in the Liverpool game when he did that ridiculous, and I put a joke, but I think a lot of City fans thought I was saying like that is a joke, but just to flag, I meant it in a very positive way because it was a joke what he did there. Right, who's stats? So you've already had clue number 1. This is clue number 2. Can you work out who this City player is, past and present? If you want to tweet us, #ManCity guesses. After working out this first clue, this player was the first to score 50 goals in 3 of the top 5 European leagues. We went through them and Nedum thinks he worked out. This is the second one. This player scored 14 Premier League goals in the title-winning campaign in 2011 and 12. We think we've got it here in the studio, don't we?
I think I might have a pet with the same name.
Right,
there's a little Easter egg clue there, brought to us by Michael Brown. Very interesting.
Mario the hamster.
And also as well, I need to go back because you asked me about the top 5 leagues, and we have, actually is the Premier League, it's the French League 1, the Bundesliga, the La Liga, and the Serie A.
Just waiting for a bit of help there, right?
Oh, no.
The SPL.
Thank you very much. Right, now, these last 2 weeks, you know, what a privilege and what a joy it has been to be a Manchester City fan. I mean, we could have only dreamed about weeks like this over 10, 15 years ago, and suddenly, you know, we've got two quarter-final legs, 2 games against Liverpool in an FA Cup semi-final, going head-to-head in the Premier League. It really has been the stuff of dreams and a joy to behold, and we can hear what some of you guys have made of these last 2 weeks being a Manchester City fan.
What are your thoughts on the last 2 weeks?
It's been good. Quite a lot of goals. A lot of wins, but just that loss against Liverpool was quite bad.
It's been a bit tiring. Not been on for a week up until got back this Monday. Yeah, look, we did okay in Madrid. We got the job done, Champions League. We had to do that. Disappointing at Wembley, really disappointing. But hopefully now we can focus on the league and bounce back tonight.
I mean, a 3-2 defeat at Liverpool, our second team's not bad. They were the better team. Atletico, we did pretty well to keep the players that we got to keep. They do use the dark arts to an advantage, and the 2-2 draw with Liverpool is very good.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, my mate. Very good indeed. I think it's been very good all round. Obviously, we can commiserations from the weekend, but I was on the radio earlier on today, and you know, I'll say it on here as well. I think from what I saw from this Manchester City squad over the last 2 weeks, regardless of that result, I have nothing but full admiration and respect. And you know, I don't think I could have asked for anything more from those boys. And we wanted to just get your thoughts on those last 2 weeks, Nedum. We'll begin with you and Michael.
Yeah, it's been very significant. There've been tons of big games in there, some big matchups, and as well, do you know that loss? I'm realizing now, like, they affect you more because you don't have a ton of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and at this stage of the season, those big ones tend to mean something really significant.
Yeah.
You know, so you can't just skim past them. So it was a shame that they didn't win that one, but to be in the semi-finals of the Champions League, to be top of the table after so many people thought, well, Liverpool are going to be top at this stage. Well, at this stage when the games are equal.
Yeah.
You know. This is City. This is what they do. It seems like year in, year out, they're in and about this position, and they're just getting the momentum. And you can't help but think that they're just going to be able to follow through in the league and then the Champions League with a bit of luck and a few good performances. You know, there's nothing that's guaranteed for sure, but it's a great time yet again to be a Man City fan.
Really is, and I guess as well, it's, you know, I think a lot of people outside this club, particularly in the media and other fans of clubs, seem to forget that now there's a level of consistency here, Michael. You know, there's the whole quadruple shout from across the way, but I can think back over the last 4 years, we've more or less been on for a quadruple right till the back end of it. Yeah. And I guess that consistency is the other thing to remember is going, this hasn't just been a one-off, like, what a magical 2 weeks for City. It's just been kind of part and parcel each year now, and kind of has become part of the expectations.
I remember the disappointment in Porto.
Yeah.
Do you know, I'm actually thinking, wow, was that the chance? Was that the opportunity, the Champions League that everybody's been waiting for? But straight away, you felt the club are going to be there.
Yeah.
For many years to come, that you feel like the final's going to be close. It's the Champions League, it's difficult. You're going to need a bit of luck. And it just tells you the level we waited for Liverpool, the huge game which is going to be the season decider. Will it decide the title? We're all looking forward to it. So to have all these games, Atletico, Liverpool, you know, it's such a burden. You needed a bit of luck. You needed to be injury free. I felt like they dealt with it unbelievably well.
Yeah.
Do you know, and I understand the team and the selection, the difficulty that the club and the manager had going into the semi-final against Liverpool. It felt like there was not much choice really, and it was going to be a slightly weakened team, and it was going to be difficult against Liverpool. But we take the positives. A wonderful first half performance against Liverpool here in the league game, which could have went on and won it. And I think that would have definitely, for me, it had been said that would have been the league title, so almost touching it.
Yeah.
Still work to do now. Different performances. Atletico, we've seen how everybody was behind the ball, difficult to break through. Then how would you address it? And I thought they were very professional away in Madrid.
Yeah.
It was a great performance, and to be tested at the back end. This is a team who've had results now for 4 or 5 seasons, and it's not just a team that you're thinking, oh, they don't know how to do it. They've done it by grinding results, not necessarily playing in great styles, but knowing how to win, how to get points, how to be ugly. And they were tested right to the limit, weren't they? The antics right at the end.
For sure, yeah.
And they come out of it really well.
Yeah.
And I just think it's been a wonderful few weeks. A bit of disappointment in the semi-final. But look where we all are. It's just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, this is it. We're on for the Premier League, Champions League again. Real Madrid coming to the Etihad.
Yeah.
remarkable.
It really
class,
is.
isn't it? Real
It's
Madrid
unbelievable, isn't it?
Champions League
The Champions
semi-final.
League greats.
Yeah, really. I wanted to pick up two things you said there. First of all was the maturity. Well, two things about the Atletico game, first of all. First of all, the maturity of that performance. You know, I think back maybe, had that game come even 3-4 years ago, I could have seen a strong City team almost crumble under the weight of Atletico Madrid, the stadium, the pressure of the fixture. But I kind of watched that and thought, oh wow, we've almost gone up another level now. We kind of feel seasoned within that competition, and we can stand up to a hostile atmosphere and grind out the 0-0.
Yeah, it certainly felt that way. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they would have been thinking, let's just take the 0-0 from the kickoff. But
no.
Your goals adapt within the game. You have to figure out, get through this 5-minute spell, this 10-minute spell. Right, we're on top. Let's kill the game, get some passes in. Right, we have to dig in. Let's fight together. All this stuff. And I think, as you said, watching them, it feels like those teams where we'd see who are very seasoned in the Champions League. Like, that's what City are right now.
Yes.
You're not surprised that they went there, they faced that hostility and came out on the other side.
Yeah.
They weren't flaky with it. Like, I love this team, and it's probably, for me, the best version of City that I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
The reason I love it is because they can pass you to death, but they can also be physically tough as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'd
they can
agree.
mix it if they need to mix it.
The dynamics out of possession.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they can defend well, they can attack well. As I say, they can pass you to death. They can
Do you think the
psychologically get you.
manager's changed in his approach? Do you know, like, I'll talk about seeing out the games.
Yeah.
I don't think Pep Guardiola would have actually. His team, you would never have said a Pep Guardiola team would have been like that at Atletico
when he started.
towards the end of the
I
game.
agree.
Yeah.
So I think he's changed his mindset and evolved.
Yeah.
It's something he possibly would never have believed he would
it's a
go
great
on.
point.
I think he still wants them to be front foot.
Of course he
Yes.
does.
But I think
100%.
with that, he has an appreciation for the opposition as well.
Yeah, he did-
Understand
he
that
did-
it's ebb and flow to a
also
game.
realising how he has to get the result. So you look at Simeone, he realises his team aren't as good as others, but what he gets out of that side to be hard to beat and to get to later stages of competitions, to get close to trophies, he believes that's his setup and that's how he gets the best. I think Pep's tweaked his style.
Well, he
slightly.
didn't
I
do. You
honestly.
think back to the Monaco Champions League. You know, you get that result in the first leg. You kind of then you have that second leg, and you go out of the way. You think, okay, he has changed. I think he has.
I think he has changed, but I think he also understands the players that he has. He understands they can do that. I think that's the key thing, because he might have said in the past, go and just defend or whatever, or just keep
You
the
look
ball.
at Fernandinho coming on the pitch.
Yeah.
Do you know, if you'd have said there was a player who could come on and actually manage the ending to that game,
I was thinking Michael Brown.
You'd have just gone.
I'm thinking Michael Brown.
You'd have gone and said, you've seen it out and understand how to win.
Yeah.
So for me, sometimes I wasn't as good on the ball or whatever, but I knew how I could affect it,
for sure,
change
for
it,
sure,
or
for sure.
do something.
Yeah.
And Fernandinho, I thought, was the leader. I think it was interesting. Pep Guardiola's quotes. He said about good people in and around the building.
Yeah.
And the last presser for this game about how he wants those type of people always backing up.
Yeah.
And at Onuoha coming down the tunnel, and I watched, there was still that adversity, but all of them were sort of saying, you're not going to push us over.
Yeah.
We're right in there. And we know there's some of them clips that didn't all come out, but they were all there showing to everybody that this team are not going to be pushed over.
This is
and
their
I think
team.
it was a great point, that. And it's not just on the pitch. Nobody wants to play City anymore.
Yeah, totally agree. I wanted to just make a round of word as well, of course, on the game at the weekend. And I just wanted to get your take on this. It was in Pep's pre-match conference, because I think a lot of people seem to have got, again, outside of the club, first of all, that Liverpool made about 7 changes from their midweek fixture. And second of all, though, and I think Pep said, between the Atletico game and the Liverpool game at the weekend, there were 71 different physio treatments for the City squad, which he said he's never come across in his career. And obviously, your players, that must be a phenomenal amount.
It's a lot. I didn't know that they counted like that, but it is a lot. And to be honest, they could be for lots of different things. You know, it might be somebody who says like the toes are a bit sore, or somebody who just wants a back massage. So let's not go too big on that.
Yeah.
But the fact is, like, I think it shows the nature of that game itself.
Yeah.
It shows the nature of the games before it.
Yeah.
And then also, to add to it, for some of these guys, is to travelling from Madrid back to the UK.
I think we have got to be cautious. You've got to look and say they were in camp.
Yeah.
So they all stay together for those couple of days, where actually the treatments are right next to you where they are. You're going to have that extra one, the pool sessions, and then literally the hands-on to continue those treatments. And it just tells you it was a real difficult schedule.
Very difficult.
So that treatment was important.
Yeah.
But like you say,
It wasn't,
I think there's been a couple of injuries. I think, possibly Pep might have actually thought about changing 1 or 2 more in the game against Liverpool. Will he think, right, he made those right decisions? He said he consulted with all his medical team. I think you look at it, won't you? You'd probably say Rodri, would he have been a possibility? But we don't know what these guys are carrying. Every little bit of injury, do we?
No. And they're definitely carrying something middle of April after the season.
Yeah,
of course. Definitely carrying something.
Absolutely. Right, the boys heading back into tunnel, so not long to go on Matchday Live. Let me just quickly bring you an exciting look at a brand new documentary that you're all going to want to get your eyes and ears around. I cannot wait for this, because this year, of course, marks the 10th anniversary of that infamous moment, that goal, and City Plus, City Studios are bringing you a documentary all about it.
Oh, Balotelli late. He's on a yellow already. And Balotelli may well see his season end here.
I can lip read myself saying so stupid. It just seemed like that's the kind of mode we were in. It wasn't particularly at Mario, it was at myself, it was at all of us, it was at us as a group. We were messing it up. We were messing something up that we might not get again.
Well, Mancini put his faith in Balotelli. And that is how the madcap Maverick has repaid him.
Mancini said, after the game, he said, on the bus, he told me that I never play again. But because he was angry, obviously.
Balotelli, Aguero! I swear you'll never see anything like this.
Every single time. That 9320 documentary is coming to City Plus very soon. You know, to get that, you're going to need to subscribe. And you might have seen as well, the club have announced a very special 9320 event. If you're lucky enough to be here in Manchester, I think that's coming up in May. So well worth keeping your eyes and ears around that as well for more details as and when it comes. Right, final clue for Who's Stat. You get 3 clues throughout the show to try and work out which player this is. So clue number 1, this player was the first to score 50 goals in 3 of the top 5 European leagues. Clue number 2, this player scored 14 Premier League goals in the title-winning campaign in 2011 and 2012 season, which confirmed it for me and Mr. Brown. And your third clue is this player had a crucial role in both the 2012 and 2014 title wins, and his song can still be heard today on the terraces. So if you think you know who that is, hashtag Man City and just tweet us the name of your player who you think who's stat, or you can obviously drop us a little WhatsApp as well. Right, do not forget, Alistair Mann and Sean Goater have got your commentary on City, the City app. So if you just download it, they'll keep you covered throughout the 90 minutes. So you've got our starting 11 there if you've just tuned in. Very, very strong. And in the studio, I've got Nedum and Michael Brown. Now we're going to be back at half-time and back at full-time. Final preparations are happening on the pitch. So, gents, let's just take one more final note from you guys on how you can see this playing out and, of course, getting those all-important predictions.
Well, obviously, there's going to be a 5th-minute Kevin De Bruyne goal, as you said, because that's what he does now. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, ironic if he does that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Kel said.
Yeah, Kelsey. He's going to point you over.
I know. We have a bit of back and forth.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I think if they start at a good tempo, I think the game, it won't necessarily be comfortable, but it'll be more comfortable than if they sort of start on the back foot, because Brighton are going to arrive with confidence. And it's very good, I think, sometimes to sort of take that away from the side early doors.
Yeah.
So I think if they manage that, I'm going to say 3-1 to City.
Yeah.
He's got a score prediction, everything's got
No, because that's his next question. I've done this once or twice before.
What's he going to do now the next couple of minutes?
I can tell you what I can do, Michael. We can get the thoughts of fans from around the ground before we hear yours. So let's have a little listen to see what you guys are making of our game against Brighton.
And what are your thoughts on Brighton this evening?
It's going to be a good game, quite a hard game, and I think it's going to be a good game, yeah.
Can I get a score prediction for you this evening?
2-0 to Man City. I'm from Brighton, but I think we can get the win. My prediction is 3-1.
No, they're playing really well. Brighton's away form's really good. If you go away and win at Arsenal and you go and win at Tottenham, then you're doing something right. But they're not going to want to come here now. We're totally different to them two teams. We just got to play our own game, make sure the crowd don't get too jitty if we don't score early doors. And like you say, we've got to be patient and just get the win. 1-0 do.
Who's going to score the goals?
Bernardo Silva and Raheem Sterling, I think, maybe. I think Mahrez, Foden and a Diaz header.
You've come off 2 good results, Arsenal Spurs. Are you confident here at the Etihad today?
Yeah, to be realistic, I mean, it's on the back of a bit of a bad run, and so it's the most brilliant pickup to be able to knock out, to be able to defeat 2 top sides like we've done. North London is crying, and the south of England, the south coast is cheering. It's been the most brilliant last week, and we hope to. Well, yeah, looking around, who knows? But yeah, we hope to do something again.
And obviously you've got Potter, who Pep talks quite highly about. How good is it to have him as a manager?
Yeah, I mean, Graham Potter, we're very lucky with Graham Potter, and keep your hands off him, is what I say. Yeah, Tony Bloom has got a most brilliant organisation, and I think Potter, he supports Potter, and I think that he'll see his project through, hopefully to the end of his contract, and he's really got Brighton in a good place.
And our Matchday Live presenter today is Kel Spellman.
Kel Spellman, yes.
Hello,
Kel.
Hopes to catch up later. Have you got a message for him?
Yeah, I'd say I hope you're blue later.
Have you got a score prediction for the game?
What?
Have you got a score prediction for the game?
I'm so sorry, this is so loud here.
Have you got a score prediction for the game?
A score prediction? Well, I've just been asked that, and I said 2-2. I mean, of course, Paddy Power will have us say it's 1-5 against. Of course, the realistic thing is that you're going to go all over us, but I think that we're going to fight, and I think we're a great team. We fight till the 95th minute, and I think you'll see that tonight.
Perfect. Thank you, Robert.
Oh, Robert Bathurst there, of course, a dear friend as well, and so great to be able to have you on the show, although not too sure about feeling blue come full-time, Robert. I'm very much hoping that will be you.
He didn't say full-time, so the 95th minute. So when we get to the 96th, it's carnage. It's over.
Going off.
Yeah,
But so great to hear from you guys around the ground as well. If you're ever lucky enough to come to the stadium and you see one of us around filming some bits, come get involved, because we love to have you on. We've not got long till, of course, we'll be handing over to Alistair Mann and Sean Go to final bits on the pitch. If you've just tuned in, you're thinking, Kel, what are the teams? I can run you through them quickly. Our starting 11 is on the bottom of the screen, but it looks like that. Ederson, Cancelo, Aymeric Laporte, John Stones and Nathan Ake are our back four. We've got Rodrigo holding, then we've got Ilkay Gundogan captaining our side alongside Kevin De Bruyne, who returns into the starting 11, and a forward three of Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden and Bernardo Silva. A quick run through our bench. It's Stefan, Diaz, Sterling, Jesus, Grealish, Zinchenko, Fernandinho, Palmer and Lavia. And Brighton's starting 11 consists of Sanchez, Lamptey, Cucurella, Dunk, McAllister, Mwepu, Gross, Welbeck, March, Caicedo and Veltman, and on their bench Steele, McGill, Webster, Morpay, Lallana, Leonard, Afaya, Ferguson and Sarmiento. Michael Brown, we kind of were speaking before, obviously saying that actually, you know, if City kind of turn up and play their game, we should do it, but it's not going to be as straightforward, we think, as this Brighton team, who, as we know, like to come and try and assert their game no matter where they play.
Well, it is, because they'll want to move the ball around, they want to get into some good positions, some good forward runs, they give you lots of problems, lots of different ways of thinking. But for me, you know, we talk about predictions, I would like a real quick start from City. I don't want to wait till that second half, or you wait and you let them get back in, where I feel like they've got something to fight for, and hopefully a positive start. 5 minutes would certainly take that from Kevin De Bruyne, but I just want to see a convincing win. Earlier the better, to calm the nerves slightly.
Dare we say this? I mean, if it's very simple, isn't it? If City win all their games till the end of the season, we finish champions, touch wood. It's not going to be as straightforward as that. Can you see goal difference coming into this, Nedum? And if so, are there certain fixtures, like these home fixtures, where we need to be looking to try and...
Yeah, I need to pause that, because I don't think it's the right idea to go out there thinking we're just going to score as many goals as we can because it's going to be goal difference, because then I think you start to get a little bit too front foot with the way that you're thinking. I think the result is the most important thing, and if it comes with some extra goals in it, then great. Because if it was a case of you just scored goals because you wanted to, you know, chances are they'd be top of the league with like the perfect record. It's not that simple. You do have to play against 11 other professionals, and I think we saw historically with Liverpool, was it at Palace when they were 3-up and they were going in the second half saying we need to score more goals, and it finished 3-3.
That's the problem, is it would worry me. I feel if you're talking about goal difference, that's worrying me straight away. I don't want that to come into play. I'm hoping City can go on and win, keep the pressure on. I'd like to see Liverpool slip up in the next couple of weeks, ideally. For me, a little bit close to, you know, they're not going right to the end, but it might be the case of both sides have to go right to the end and City have to win every game. I would bet against both teams doing that at this moment in time.
For sure.
Quickly, I mean, just final word on that, though. How much will our previous run-ins play a part in being able to handle ourselves when the pressure is coming, given we've been here before, even against Liverpool?
I think this team, they've lifted the trophy 3 out of the last 4 seasons. You know what I mean? You don't have weekends to the season and end up picking up that trophy.
Yeah.
So for them, I think, look, think back to the year when it took 98 points to win a Premier League title.
Yeah.
Let's be clear, they're very capable in terms of doing it, and the players in this squad and in this team who've done that before, and the ambition is going to be there to do it again. And if they need anyone to sort of look at and say, well, how do we do this? It's 5, 6, even more players who've done it before. So, you know, to have that sort of experience, it's fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, Brownie, final thing for us to do here on the show is get your prediction for the game. What are you thinking?
I'm under pressure. There's just 3-1 on the screen. Yeah. Nedum 3-1. I'm going to say 2 or 3-0. I can't decide, Kel. I think I want a clean sheet from this back four today. I'd take 2-0 right now.
Take 2-0. Love that, gentlemen. Well, listen, an absolute pleasure as always. So, myself, Michael Brown and Nedum Onuoha are going to be back at half-time and at full-time, so do come tune in. Now, remember, you've still got time to download that City app. That's where you can get the Manchester City commentary from Alistair Mann. And today, he is joined by Sean Goater. Thank you so much, you all, for watching as always. I'll see you at half-time. Final thing for me to say is, come on, City.
So welcome to the Etihad Stadium. How are the nerves, City fans, in this 10th title race? They say that pressure is a privilege in professional sport. City have shown for